Welcome to another video. Just wanted to say thank you all for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you all in the intro. So folks, today we're doing a little bit of a different video. I think this might be something that people are interested in. Let me know if you're interested in this in the future, but I kind of wanted to do like a more in-depth video where I kind of play slower. I'm a very quick player, especially online and paper. I like, making my actions. I don't really talk through them as much as I would like, although I think I'm kind of thorough when I'm talking, but I typically I go based on instincts instead of talking things out. And I know that some people like watching to learn and whatnot. So I'm really gonna basically go in a slower, more in-depth video. This is probably going to be like 2 games where I'm going to talk through it and be a little bit slower, more methodical, and like kind of explain my thinking and like exactly like what game actions I'm going to be making. But like before we get into any of that, let's talk about the deck. So this is probably the best build I think currently for the Rock. I think the only thing I would be considering to change in this is I'd be a little bit more, a little skeptical, I should say, of, 4 baubles. I think, if you want to add a Dothy in, I think that's perfectly fine. Going with a 4th Dothy, I think that card's pretty decently well positioned right now. It's really good against the bad matchups, like for Tron, Living In, stuff like that. And just like control, it's like sometimes it's good against Blue-Red Murktide. It's a little off sometimes. It's really hard to say, but like it's okay. And the one weakness I have with this deck is I think Murktide is a big problem. So I'm not really sure exactly. Like, you could play Lily. I'm not huge on Assassin's Trophy, but Lily is a little expensive. And, like, typically you can race Murktide. That's something people, like, I feel like have a hard time conceptualizing. Racing Murktide is a pretty decent deal, especially when you have Shadow Spear and Goyfs. Goyfs is one of your best threats against them. It's really hard for them to kill it, barring like Unholy Heat. But specifically, it needs to be 6 or it needs to be lower than a 6/7, which it grows pretty quickly in that matchup. So just having that as an out, and then you still have these 3 Thoughtseize to answer it, and like main decks, now Spellbomb, you can maybe try and contain their graveyard a little bit. But like as for specific sideboard choices, I'm still on Necromentia. I think this card's a little weak, but it's just really good against hosing a lot of decks, which is like I kind of like the versatility of it. It's a little slow since we don't have Ragavan. So having it on turn 3, typically you want it before then, especially against the Cascade decks, Tron decks. Titan is one matchup where it doesn't really matter, and like Yawgmoth. So like it's just a decent hoser across the board. And then like Go for the Throat specifically in this version, I was thinking about having a 4th, but I think 3 is still fine. We really do need more answers to Murktide, especially post board. Having 3 answers is still a little lackluster, but it's fine. It gets the job done, especially when you know how to like control the graveyard post board. Your threats are a little bit more sticky. Well-timed Inquisitions / Thoughtseizes. EE still a great answer. Again, the thing about mid-range is you kind of want these universal answers instead of like specific hosers. At least that's how I like building. Some people like having specific hosers to like try and win specific matchups. I'm more of the thought that I like to have multiple answers for multiple matchups. Like Torpor, for example, I think is really good against the 4-color Blink decks. It's good against Titan. It's good against Elementals. It's good against quite a few decks. It's like decent. Like DNT is not a really popular deck, but it's decent against that. Goblins, like anything where you have a lot of ETB effects. Torok is probably the most specific answer, other than like maybe Pithing Needle. But it's basically because that 4-color matchup's really shitty, and like that's one of the best ways you have to do it, other than getting underneath them and kind of like I don't know, making their mana awkward, which is not that hard to do, but it's very difficult because that deck has really good mana for being a 4-color deck. But that's typically you need them to stumble 1 or 2 turns, then you can maybe take over. But it's still a very difficult matchup because they have so many free spells, so much card advantage, just very difficult to deal with. And other than that, I think that should cover most of the stuff. Witherbloom Command, fantastic, especially when this is like a Ren and 6 dominated meta. Ren and 6 is in quite a few decks. It's just one of the best cards in the format. We have Bloodchief's Thirst as like as an out to Murktide in the main deck, only out really, and then it's also just another answer to Ren and 6 and Ragavan in the early games, which are like the most prevalent cards in the fucking format. They're so good. And then as for the land package, the only thing that I want to maybe consider at some point is cutting a second Passageau, because it it really does make the mana a little awkward. You have 3 basic forests in a mainly black deck. I would say we're definitely more predicated around black spells. But it's hard to cut that because it's such a good spell slash land, and allows your land count to it allows you to be flood protected if you don't draw Saga. Kind of helps with that, and that's also where I like having Mistress Bauble. It really helps you to push down the land count, allowed you to keep more one landers because they're redraws, etc. But anyways, folks, I will see you all in the first match, and let me know if you like it. So leave a comment down below, especially if you like this more in-depth stuff. But anyways, I'll see you all in the first match. We are here for the first match, and we are on the draw. So when like thinking about this hand, something that this deck has kind of an issue with is getting ran over in the early game, especially since you don't have many, one drops that specifically answer like Ragavan and whatnot. This hand, like, it looks fine, but it's literally 5 3-drops and 2 lands, which, this could be decent against some decks, but in general, it's just way too slow, especially in the dark. I'm not really sure what we're up against. It's just, I think you need, like, especially on the draw in this format, you need a 1-drop to have, like, some type of interaction. So, just definitely mulliganing this one. This hand is 10 times better, and putting a card back is going to be a lot tougher than it thinks. So, like, I kind of don't hate putting back the basic forest because, with Bauble in the hand, 2 Dark Confidants, if one of them live, you're pretty likely to find a land. That is, like, barring the fact that, Dark Confidant could die. If we're up against a Run in 6 deck, we're definitely not going to want the second Dark Confidant, but, sometimes you got to take risks. And I think this is a fair enough risk considering we have Push for turn 1, Bauble to kind of have a better idea of what's going on. And, like, you got to play a little bit risky sometimes, so I'm definitely happy with keeping this hand. Like, if they're like a Izzet Murktide deck where they want to, remove Dark Confidant, then, like, having the second one's a lot better than the land. And if we hit another land off the Mistress Bauble, we're just going to be, like, really far down in the dumps. Like, we do have Urza Saga to kind of, like, get that card advantage back, but, like, Dark Confidant's just one of our better cards against a decent amount of matchups. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's good enough. And, like, maybe we're up against a Ragavan deck where they go turn 1. Oh, they just passed to their main phase? They probably just misclicked, I think. Godless Shrine? Okay, so this will be a matchup where Dark Confidant's pretty good, I'd assume. Most Godless Shrine decks are going to be definitely a removal heavy deck, so definitely getting rewarded already for the decision to put back the land, unless we don't hit a land, but, whatever. Sometimes it happens. Well, maybe we'll just draw, like, 2 more Dark Confidants and regret our decision. Let's see. They're shocking and doing nothing. I think we're going to copy them. Second Bauble. Not a bad draw. Let's just double Bauble. Especially in this matchup, we're going to wait till their upkeep. Some matchups, it doesn't really matter, and I'd rather... So I guess I should talk about this. So one thing that you might want to consider in certain matchups, or if our hand looks a little bit different, is cracking one of these Baubles on our turn. So, like, let's say this is a Ragavan deck, which I don't think Godless Shrine will be a Ragavan deck. You could just, like... okay, specific... it's hard to say, but just specifically, if we didn't have a push in our hand, and this is a Ragavan deck, you might want to consider bobbling on your turn, because then you can draw that land and get a Fatal Push for Ragavan. So, like, specifically, it would have to be, like, Izzet Murktide, where you want to use that mana, and you would probably bobble yourself and then them, because you would probably get more information that way on if you want to shock in the Overgrown Tomb or not. So I think that is, like, the specific line where you'd want to bobble on your turn. So, oh, Grief? Well, this is not good. This is like a Grief Ephemerate deck, probably. Well, at least our hand's fairly protected, and against these matchups, Urza Saga is one of the best cards in the deck, so... And it's actually really awkward, so we're going to be left with a Dark Confidant no matter what, I think, because they're going to have to take the Fatal Push. Yeah, they have to take the Fatal Push if they have Ephemerate here. So we're gonna be left with the Dark Confidant. So I'm gonna be pretty happy with this. Oh, yeah, we'll just push it because we already triggered Revolt. So that was definitely interesting. Surprised. All right. I'm very happy with that trade. That was weird. I did not expect that at all. Huh. Okay, well, crack the bauble. Maybe we should have held it. I don't think it's really worth doing, but we're definitely in a good spot now. Now, you could think about, do we want to play out Urza's Saga? It's kind of actually hard to say because they can't really take it with their discard spells, and I'm not actually sure if I want to develop next turn with Urza's Saga rather than like playing out Reclaimer. So I think this is actually a situation where you want to play Swamp because like we're already so far ahead that we can afford to play this Urza's Saga later. We know they're a discard deck and like they can't discard our Saga, so I think we want to max out our value with this card. It would have like denied them some information, but I think that's fine. So we'll see if our plan gets rewarded. They also don't have a push here, so that's good because they could have played this on black. If they had a fatal push, they would have played it on black. But yeah, I mean our hand looks pretty good. We're in a decent spot. We know they're drawing up planes, which is not a good draw at this point. Can't play Liliana. Like Tide Hollow Spiller. Okay, so they don't have an Ephemerate. That's good. So this is just like the Ephemerate Blink deck that a lot of people were concerned about when Grief was first getting printed, but I think we're in a very good spot. Like they're a heavy discard deck. We have two things that just can't be hit. Like we have a Dark Confidant that's going to be accruing card advantage here, and I don't know. I'm just pretty happy about the way this is going. This might be a situation where we get punished for not playing Saga if we don't draw anything, but again, sometimes you just gotta accept that things will happen. Didn't expect. Maybe I should have expected that to get discarded, but I think this is a much better play here. And I'm 100% not trading my Dark Confidant for a Tide Hollow Sculler, so just say go. Not worth, especially when we drew the Shadow Spear. Like, who cares? Who really cares? Maybe they hard cast a Grief here, but we're winning the race pretty easily. Arming Prince. Oh, okay. Why'd they shock? They must have... It's weird that their deck isn't like a Yorion deck, because I would assume this is a Yorion deck, but like it would just kind of make some sense, but we'll see. They should probably... Oh, no attacks. I would have attacked there, but okay. Fatal Push is a good draw. Inquisition, not too shabby. So, do we want to make an Urza Saga token or not? Oh, they just conceded. Well, I was going to lead on attacks there because it doesn't really matter because, we're going to attack with this Dothy no matter what. And I think we should make a Saga token there because, like, the other play would be like push doesn't seem very good here because it doesn't really accomplish much. Inquisition, when they have one card in hand, I'm skeptical because then I have to like commit to the play of like if this Saga was a green source, like going Inquisition push, play Elvish Reclaimer, not a bad play. But I think just at this point they have one card in hand. We know they have 4-drops in their deck. Like I'm just not very convinced that it'll be that great. So I think we would just make a Saga token and win the game slowly. So we're up against, I don't really know what, the Blink deck. So we don't want our discard spells here. They are very bad. Spellbomb's actually decent. Okay, so this is a matchup where, as I said, Torpor Orb I think is fine. It's not like the first pick that I would go to, but things I definitely want are removal spells. Do we want EE? That's actually kind of a close call because they do probably have a lot of 2-drops. They're probably on Stoneforge Mystic as well. I think it's worth considering. Like, Dothy's pretty good. Confidant's obviously amazing. Goif's just a big booty. We could like trim like 2 baubles. But I think I'm gonna trim 1 and just go with 1 Torpor Orb. I'm not like on the draw, Torpor Orb's like not as great because they're gonna be able to like get underneath it probably with their 2-drop. But on the play, I think I'm gonna have both Torpor Orbs. So we'll just submit this. I don't think there's anything else to consider really. Like you could talk about Torok, but you know, there's a reason you trim discard spells in these like mid-range mirrors. It's because a lot of the time you're going to be in this point where you're top decking, and top decking a 2-1 is not great. Even though it's pro white, it might be a little bit more, you know, questionable because they do have a lot of white cards in their deck, but I just don't think that's better than any of our 2-drops that we currently have. Like, Tarmogoyf's just bigger than everything they have. Dothy is, you know, just unblockable and a decent card in the matchup because they are reliant on Graveyard. And then Dark Confidant is just, you know, card advantage is better than protection from, like, half of their deck. So I think this is a good spot to be in. You could, and, like, one thing that I would consider is maybe trimming, like, Springleaf from because, you know, again, kind of a dead card in the late game, but you need it in certain situations with Urza Saga enough that I think I would keep it. All right, let's see. And like, it's a good thing we mulliganed that first game because that hand was just like way too slow. And like Saga in this like kind of attrition discard mirror decks, the best thing that you can have is an Urza Saga. So this hand's just not close to good enough because if they go like, you know, Ephemerate plus Grief, this hand literally does nothing. So, like, having 1 Urza Saga or a good 1-drop, yeah, like, this hand 10 times better. We'll put back the uncastable spell, because there's no guarantee we'll get it. And, like, Dark Confidant's so good in this matchup that I'm happy, you know, just having 2 of them. And Urza Saga can basically, what is it? Not reenact a Goyf because it can make a big creature. So, I'm definitely happy with this. And like a Bobble is a good draw as well. Allows us to trigger Revolt if they don't like go, you know, turn 1 Grief plus Ephemerate. If they like have to wait a turn for some reason again, that would be very good for us. We'll see what they're up to. We'll see what they're up to. Our hand's like this hand's literally perfect. Another good 6. We don't want to get punished again. Like sometimes I'm very bad at this, but I don't like mulliganing. I very rarely I will keep a lot of risky hands. In this deck, I think that's one thing that I do a bad job of doing in my videos is I keep some really risky hands, which is not what you should do in reality. Like it's not that bad, but if you're trying to like maximize your percentage points, it's just kind of a shitty way to like do things, I should say. Taking our push. What are we taking? Probably a Bobble, maybe. Taking the redundant, yeah. Let's say taking one of our Dark Confidants doesn't really make sense, so. That's awkward. Okay. Well, we definitely want to play the Black Source here. So we can go Urza Saga plus Dark Confidant the following turn. This just kind of sucks, but that's okay. They have like follow up with like whatchamacallit, Stoneforge Mystic. We might be in really bad shape here. Okay, we did not. That's sweet. That was a good draw. Well, not a good draw. Fine draw, I should say. Now, this is super important. Play the bad art first, because it'll die. Now, this is my favorite art of Dark Confidant. This is what I have in paper, so I definitely prefer this one. Doesn't really matter, but I always like having the better art in my hands because it's more likely to stay on the battlefield. Please don't Liliana me. Uh-oh. This looks like a Lily. Or Kaya's Kyle, maybe? I don't know. I don't really know what their deck's capable of. Let's see. If it's a Lily, it's actually not that big of a deal. But rather annoying. They are juking us out here. Yeah, this game, there's not really many decision points that have been made. Okay. This is like a Lily tick up. It's actually kind of a sweet play. Oh, that fucking sucks for us. I mean, it could be worse, really, but man, God, this is actually kind of awkward. What do I play? I think we still play Bob here. Should have probably done it off of Urborg, just in case we flip a green source and we. Yeah, okay. Ugh. Set my ways of playing fast. Probably should have played Urborg because in case we draw like exactly a green source off the top, this is probably the wrong play. Cause yeah, we got punished too. Yeah. Okay. So like specifically, they are definitely a whatchamacallit deck. They're definitely a Stoneforge Mystic deck, I'd assume at least. And we're not blocking, so we're attacking. So we did get slightly punished. Plus Besagi's just, better than a random land. So can we fetch freely? Yeah, because 9's the same as 10. Probably. Yeah, more than likely it's the same. Actually, no, we want to save it because we do have Fatal Push. And we have a Bob on the battlefield. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Are we playing Dothy? Probably not. I think getting an Urza Saga is better here. We're actually in a good spot here. We'll just double block with Goyf and Confidant. And be pretty happy at where we're at. We're doing here. This a grief. Okay. This is fine. I think we're actually, yeah, we're probably winning this game. Unless something weird happens. And the reason not to play Dothy there is Urza Saga will get us lifelink at some point, so it's just better. And we actually, the only way we die here, I think, is if we end up like flipping 2/2 drops, because we're gonna be able to make another blocker, so they can't like menace us out. Okay, so now we're like safe 100% because we just like we can make a blocker here. Oh, I think we're just safe unless one of their removal spells, unless they have like a removal spell. But if it's Solitude, we don't care. What's going on here? Stoneforge, yeah, okay. So this is exactly what I thought. They were a Stoneforge Mystic deck, so hopefully they don't have Cauldra. Cauldra would be spooky. But we actually can beat Cauldra because we can grab Shadow Spear. Shadow Spear specifically gets rid of Indestructible, and we have Besage. So the play like 5 turns ago where I played Besage was a mistake instead of Urborg. So like something, it's really weird, but like something so small as that seems irrelevant, but it's like super important to realize. Like that is like the small things that I mess up, and I mean probably a bunch of people mess up. But it's something small, and like this is another thing. Always activate Reclaimer. Like doesn't matter if you're getting another black source, you just want it to grow. So I don't know if we're gonna grab a Saga. We might. I got Golgari Rot Farm. That's kind of awkward because we're gonna be losing a land, and I'm not gonna activate Saga probably again. Because we're gonna grab Shadow Spear. We're probably just gonna float a mana. Yeah, I think grabbing Urza Saga is fine. Okay, what are we getting here? Another land. God, we were getting lucky. So let's float a black. We get Shadow Spear. We equip Goyf with the Shadow Spear. back for 6 real quick. And do we have enough mana to play? Yeah, we have enough mana to play with activate Urza Saga or activate Shadow Spear uh and use Besage You because of Stringleaf Drum. So I don't even think they're gonna like attack with Aldra here because I think they just lose. Yeah, they probably just have to be on blocking duty. But if they attack, I guess we can kill it. I mean, if they block, they just die. If they attack, I think they just die. We just block both their griefs and then, well, just, yeah, okay, they're not attacking. I didn't think that was like even remotely possible. So definitely making a Saga token over using Besage You. We can do that next turn. And like grabbing the 4/4 now is just better. God, we are getting really lucky with this Bob. Do we want to make a Saga? I think so. Because we still have enough mana to do everything we want. Ready? Guess we're gonna grab. Doesn't really matter. Still grab a Spell Bomb. Because, I mean, that's just like probably the best card in the matchup here at this point. And let's activate this. Destructible. Stage you the Cauldron token. And they concede. Clean, easy win. I mean, I don't even think we would have needed to do that, I'm gonna be honest. Say we just attack with everything. At the block Goyf here. They block 6/6, 6/6, and they take 5. Yeah, I mean, they're really fucking close to dead. But, I mean, obviously this is the correct play. But anyways, I'll see you all in match number 2. We are back for match number 2. Probably the last match. I might go with 3, I'm not sure. But let's talk about this hand. So we're on the draw, which definitely makes this hand a lot more keepable. And like compared to something like, if I don't know if you'll recall, but game 1 where we had all 2-drops. This hand, while it's lacking another land, it does have 2 1-drop interactive spells, a Mishra's Bauble to kind of, you know, get us a redraw. We're on the draw, so basically we have Draw Step, Mishra's Bauble, Draw Step to hit land. So we have basically 3 looks at it, at our, you know, second mana source. And even if we don't hit it, basically I think we have 4 turns to, or 4 draw steps to kind of get a land before we're completely dead. So this is a hand which I think is worth keeping. We also have 3 other baubles, which are good draws to kind of give us extra draws. And I just think this, you know, having Fatal Push is really important. Uh-oh, Raggy. It's Yogg versus the Mirror. Probably not the Mirror, but we'll see. An Overgrown Tomb Noble Hierarch deck. It's a weird combination, not gonna lie. So I definitely want to bobble them. So I don't think this is a discard deck. I think I want to have the information of what I want to do here more than wanting to conceal our draw. So do we want to Fatal Push or do we want to discard spell? I think we want to. Well, this is kind of awkward because we do have 2 Witherbloom commands. So like you could make the argument that like, okay, we let them have a 3-drop and then we can kill it next turn, but then like the problem with that is we're kind of giving them 2. The 3-drops are usually the scary stuff, right? Like Grist, stuff like that. And we're kind of giving them 2 opportunities to basically play out their 3-drops if we don't push this now. So I would rather push it out now because then all they get is basically 2 2-drops instead of 2 3-drops. So let's say their hands all, for example, it's all Grists, right? Highly unlikely, but there's a chance that it could be that. I think this play minimizes the amount of damage if that is the play. Or if that is their hand. So like if it's just like a 2-drop, that doesn't really matter. Okay. And this play also makes it better, right? Because now if we draw a green source off the top, we get to kill it, but... Oh, it's Infect. And okay. Well, give us... Oh, okay. Well, now this whole thing doesn't make sense, but we'll 100% push now. Infect is very reliant on their Infect creatures, so let's... If they're out, kill them. That's basically... If you have an opportunity to get underneath a kill or a protection spell, do it. That's... that is the best thing that you can do. Now, the scary thing is this deck probably has Phyrexian or Phyrexian, whatever it's called. You know the card I'm talking about. I don't remember the name of it, but that card is terrifying, and Push is the only card that really deals with it in our deck. Like, Witherbloom Command can kill everything else, but... So we just need to be wary about that. And they also could have, like, the flyer, the 2/1 flyer. Ugh, lands. So sad. Yeah, Inquisitioning here is just slightly better. They don't have anything over 4 drops, usually. They might. Blighted Agent, scale up. Oh my god, we're gonna die to the beats, aren't we? God, we're gonna die to just regular damage. Who's convinced? I mean, 100% take the Blighted Agent. The best card in their hands. I could see the argument for maybe taking Scale Up, or like even Vines isn't that bad of a draw or a take, but if we just don't hit a land, it's just weird. God, we're gonna die to normal beats. I know it. Oh man, this is gonna be sketchy. Vines just like wrecks us too. Maybe, yeah, Blind Agent's still the take, but yeah, their hand is very awkward against ours. Not hitting the land drop, you know, kind of sucks, but definitely scaling up and binding, right? I guess they shouldn't vines, but attacking us for 8, it's a play. Definitely play. I'd love to draw a green source to go Thoughtseize Reclaimer. See if they vines here. Might be worth. I don't know. I need to find my water. Okay, I'll find it later. Land? Great. You're dying slowly but surely. Pain! Becomements? Oh god, we gotta take that, or else we're actually just dead. Oh, we're dying to the beats! Fuck! Oh, I love this game. Okay, oh, that was such a good draw too. Yeah, we're doing it now. Okay, fines. Alright. We have a draw step to not die. And then they even have this Inkmoth next, which is kind of terrifying. Because this thing just is their Infector. Matchup's so good. I hope we lose this. God dang it. Land? Fuck. Okay. I mean, again, I would keep that hand 10 times out of 10. Just didn't find a land. It sucks. It's okay. Nothing really about it to say other than we didn't find our land. I'm not very concerned because this is a good matchup. So, in this matchup, things you want. Pithy Needle, very good against the, what's it called? Inkmoth Nexus. EE, very good. You saw they had, what, 3 1-drops there? And that was just like part of their deck. And Go for the Throat's also fine. The rest of the cards, Torok's way too slow. Torpor Orb doesn't affect anything, and the rest of these cards just, you know, they're not very good in the matchup. Cards you don't want, Dothy, completely irrelevant, textless. As for, you know, Nile Spellbomb, also pretty much does nothing. We did see Becomements, but, like, that's not something you need to be stopping terribly often, so not super all in on that card. And then this is where you want to make, you know, minor cuts. Dark Confidant's really good. They typically don't run any removal. Goyf is a big beefcake, but it's not the best card in the world. Like, your plan against Infect is to kill everything and not really to have a big threat. So, like, I'm not very excited about Tarmogoyf in this matchup, so I'm going to side it out. I don't think there's anything better, really, or worse, I should say. Like, you could say maybe Springleaf Drum is bad in this matchup. You don't really need the mana terribly often because you're just going to be killing everything. But I think I still, basically there are two artifacts that you never cut, and it is Springleaf Drum and Shadow Spear, because they are always going to be relevant. Very, 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 not very often, I should say, you cut Shadow Spear if the life gain literally doesn't matter. So, like, for example, the only matchup where I think it comes out is, like, Belcher. But other than that, like, you keep all the cards in. So, yeah. Those two cards are just very irreplaceable. And, like, I don't think there's a matchup where Springleaf Drum is just not good. Like, maybe Shadow Spear you could argue that it's bad in this matchup because they're an infect deck, but I still just don't think it's very good to cut. Like, you also... Okay, this hand's cracked. Keep this shit. Hand is the best hand yet. Okay. Well, not best hand yet. Has 2 removal spells, which are the best thing against infect. Or, well, it has 2 removal spells. Another removal spell. Card advantage, and then, well, this card wouldn't even matter. This could be a mulligan to 6 in this hand. This is just perfect against them. Only thing it's missing is maybe Urza's Saga instead of this Overgrown Tomb, but we're not really. Who really cares, right? Things that aren't that relevant. We're going to push anything they play. This is dead. Yes. That's dead. That is dead. You literally need to just kill everything. Anything they play is just dead. Dead on sight. Dead on arrival. Oh, that's actually a good card. Something that's good about Shadow Spear in this matchup is it does get around Veil of Summer. So something very, very small, but Veil of Summer does stay hexproof. So this card's not completely horrible. Yeah, let's see what we're doing here. Hopefully they don't have, like, 1-drop. That would be probably the worst. Okay, no, that's not that bad. Oh, buddy, do we have a surprise for you, my friends? Especially since they didn't play an Infector. Oh, well, this is probably better. Because I think we want to hit our land drop here. Land drop? Land drop would be cool. Dude, they have a, yeah, what's it called? 2 life mutagenic? That's fine. Give us a land drop, please. Please, deck. Urza Saga? That's so awkward. I don't even want to play anything, because I'm probably going to EE on 1 next turn, and I don't want to play the Shadow Spear. We'll hold back Dark Confidant. Oh, that's so awkward. That's okay. That's actually so fucking awkward. Maybe I should play it because, well, do we want to play it? So it's good against, like, specifically Veil of Summer or something that gives. Yeah, I think we play it. It's weird. Oh, we have green mana? Never mind. I forgot Yavimaya was on the battlefield. Now let's just play this EE. Thank God for Yavimaya. My peanut brain didn't realize that. Someone was probably yelling at me. That was a good play. That's the play. 100%. Alright, well, they don't have an Infector. Good news. Defense Grid? This is a very strange one to have. Are we scared of anything here? Probably not. Especially with Shadow Spear in play, we can just gain some life. Not really worried. If they, like, pump the Scott... Are we gonna... I hope we die to, like, regular damage twice. That would be just so sad. Okay. Seiju, that's a very good draw. Fatal Push, also a very good draw. Yep, we're just popping this EE now. And then just play Goyf. Honestly, this defense grid's kind of helping us out, I think. Because now they can't cast spells on our turn, so we can just, like, Fatal Push on our turn. So, like, and there is really no consideration to Besageing this, because the only card that I would be worried about is specifically Inkmoth Nexus, and we have Urza Saga to cover it. I didn't really elaborate that, and I'm bad sometimes when it comes to elaborating. So, but that is specifically Osis. I thought they were just gonna get Blight Agent, but guess not. Okay. Low to green, and we're just gonna get Pithy Needle naming Inkmoth Nexus now. The only card that is scary in this matchup at this point, so. And we're gonna gain our life here. Do we? No, we should probably just we should just play out our creatures. We'll just go here, and then we just have lethal next turn. Because the life gain doesn't really matter here. We're not gonna die next turn. And yep. Interesting that they have Defense Grid in their deck. I think that's very good against us. Like, it's only good if they already have a bunch of shit on the battlefield. I don't know. It's definitely a weird play, but... Alright. Begin sideboarding. Is there anything we want to change on the draw? Yeah, on the draw. Right, we're on the draw. I don't think so. Tarmogoyf's still not that good. We drew both that game. Yeah, we'll just submit it. So, hope that this pans out a little bit better for us. Mainly Swamped. Great name, great name. So, it's not bad. 2 sagas, 2 removal spells. Definitely happy to keep this. Well, not happy. I'm content keeping it, I should say. Definitely wouldn't keep this without 2 sagas, so. I don't think we're going to kill a mana dork here. It's like actually so hard to say, though. Because, okay, we drew another removal spell. I'm very happy. We only had 2 removal spells before this, so I was a little bit concerned with wasting one. But since we drew another one, I'm all in on killing it. And we can Pithy Needle the Inkmoth, so very happy. Please play Blighted Agent. I will kill that in a heartbeat. So this game, not really much to talk about. I think if we didn't draw the other removal spell, I think it would have been kind of hard to say what to do, but yeah. Here, I think this is just pretty easy stuff here. Just kill that. Kill all your creatures. This matchup's very good, and the fact that we even lost the first game is just kind of was upsetting. I just think we we didn't draw a land, and it happens. Just kind of upsetting. Alright. If they play another creature out, we'll probably kill it. If it's an Infector. If it's the, no. This. Okay, Defense Grid. Again, I'm not very concerned about this card. My shocking, no. Because I think our mana... So, the reason not to shock here is because our mana's tied up this turn. We can't go for the throat anyways, right? So there's nothing we can do. And I'd rather save the shock for next turn so that I can have both colored mana, black and green. But Blighted Agent. See, this is why Defense Grid seems so weird to me. Because now we just get to go for the throat this on our turn. They can't do anything about it. I don't know, this just seems like such an odd card to have. We drew the Springleaf Drum. It's kind of annoying because now we can't play. Yeah. Well, I was going to make a construct, but since we drew the Springleaf Drum, we can't go for the throat and make a Saga token, so we have to float the mana. What are we playing here? That's the real question. Could grab Pithy Needle. I don't think that's actually even that important. Our life total really doesn't... I mean, I guess we'll grab Pithy Needle. Let's name Inkmoth. Like the only other card that I would consider is like Mistress Bobble, but I don't think we're gonna need that yet. And then we'll just play out our stuff. Guess we'll attack here. See if they want to block. They probably won't block, but if they do, I'd rather just not go for the throat this. Okay. And again, with defense grid, I'm not worried about anything because this is each spell costs, yeah, unless it's, yeah, okay. I'm just making sure. That's such a weird inclusion in their deck. I mean, we still could lose this game to exactly Blighted Agent, probably. Like, the only card that would matter. If they had, like, their third... Or the Flyer? Oh, second defense grid. You got it. This is such a... I don't know. That's... I guess it's fine. I don't know. Just hard to say, you know? Hard to say. 100% gonna make a construct here. Just push damage at this point. And then, oh, maybe I should have played EE. No, we can do that next turn and kill them. We can, you know, they think they can block, but they can't. So that's something, that's another thing that's like kind of fun to do, is have EE in your sideboard as like a sneaky anthem sometimes. Ooh. Are they dead? We make a construct. I think they are dead. So, this is one thing I do notice that people do, not just with this deck, but with a lot of decks, is trying to find lethal instead of like, they get tunnel visioned on things that aren't important. So, I mean, the game's all about killing someone, right? Or unless you're playing Commander or something. But I think they're dead. Let me do the math here. So if we make a construct, we have 1, 2, 3. There'll be 4 4s. Put EE on 1. Tap the new construct for lethal. Yeah. So we have to grab a Mishra's Bauble. Yeah. Okay. So we do have lethal here, unless they have a Besage, but I think we have lethal. Might be miscounting somewhere, but yeah, there's 4 card types. Okay. Fetch. Oh, I guess they're dead anyway. I don't even need to do this. Alright. Oh, man. I love myself. Just like, I'm so big brain. No, just didn't even notice that I didn't even need to fucking play the CE. Whatever. Alright, let's talk about the deck. That's all we're doing for today. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope I was more in depth than normal. If I wasn't, let me know. I'm trying to do it. The deck, obviously we went 2-0. I only played 2 games, so I wanted to be more in depth, and I didn't want this video to be like an hour long, or like not an hour long, but like 3 hours long of me just rambling about random stuff all the time. But like I think it's helpful. The deck I think is very good. Obviously we played against white, black, Orzhov mid-range, which is a good matchup, and then we played against Infect, which is like almost an unlosable matchup, so it obviously is a good showing for the deck. But it shows you kind of the ropes of those matchups. I know they're not terribly common, but I think it does a good job of showing like how to, what you're supposed to spend your resources on, and I hope that me talking about it more in depth was helpful in that sense. Especially, I mean, Infect's not unpopular. I think the mid-range matchup, it's not really showing you about that matchup specifically, but I think you should take that, take the logic from that and kind of put it into other matchups, because like Urza Saga in that white green or white black matchup was really important, and I think that's something that you need to realize, that in those matchups, in the mid-range matchups, one of the most important things is the untouchable Urza Saga, because they can't Thoughtseize it, they can't discard it. The only really way that they can interact with it is with like a 1-for-1 basis. So like we got it March for March of the Otherworldly Light or whatever the hell that card's called, which was fine, but just understanding that that's like one of the most important cards in the matchup, and kind of understanding what cards are good, which hands you should keep. Like for example, on game 1 we had all 2 drops, we had to mulligan that hand, we mulliganed to 6 both of those times, but we realized what's important in the matchup. Our first hand in the game 2 had like Tarmogoyf Bobble and a removal spell. Like we can't do anything till turn 2. They're a heavy discard deck. We know what their combo is. So like kind of understanding where you want to put your, like what your resources are, what's important in the matchup, kind of realizing that, thinking that logic. And against Infect, we did keep a risky hand game 1. We got punished, right? It happens. But I think hopefully you understand like how I was talking through it. Like, you know, it's okay if we miss 1 land drop. If we miss 2, it's kind of sucky. But like you have 4 looks at it. The percentages are probably in your favor. I don't know the exact percentage, but like our deck is 22 lands, and there's I don't know. Someone knows the math. I'm not a mathematician, so whatever the math is, it's like 22 over 50, 51, and then 22 over 50, whatever. It's like it's around like a 40% chance to draw land each of those turns. So someone figured out that math. Whatever that is, I don't know what that math is, but something around that. So we're very likely to find the land, and like the hand's very good against quite a bit of things. So understanding that, and then kind of, you know, post board realizing what the matchup's about. Again, it's all about killing their shit. That's all that matters. So if you're up against, I don't know, top decks, if you're up against control, you know what matters. Dark Confidant matters. Thoughtseizes matter. You know, some pressure, Urza Saga. That's the shit that matters. Like knowing what matters and what matchups is really important. So that's something you need to think about when trying to keep these hands, especially post board, but pre board, knowing, you know, okay, is this hand too slow? Is it, you know, does it have enough 2 drops? Does it have enough grind? Does it have enough removal? What am I losing to? Is it okay if I'm losing to that? Is that something I shouldn't be losing to? Can I make up for it? Hopefully that all helped. But anyways, I hope that whole spiel helps you. I really appreciate you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know if you like this. I can do this, you know, maybe for a whole league or for a tournament. It was kind of fun to do. I haven't really, you know, kind of slowly. Obviously, you could tell I was still pretty quick, so I should slow down sometimes and, you know, make these a little bit more methodical. But anyways, I really do hope you all enjoyed. I will see you all in the next video, and I hope you all have a good one. Bye.